Hey everybody, I just heard the sad news that singer and songwriter Jessie Colin Young, who is the lead vocalist and guitarist and founding member of the rock group the Youngbloods, just died at the age of 83. I'm happy to hear that he lived a long life, and apparently he died at home. In the announcement, no cause of death was listed, so I'm assuming he died from natural causes. But the announcement of his death really brought back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories of 1969. He was born on November 22nd, 1941 in Queens, New York, and died March 16th, 2025 in Aiken, South Carolina, and hearing about his death was very bittersweet for me. I was sad to hear that he passed, but the news of his death also brought back a lot of really good memories of one of his hit songs. In fact, it was the biggest hit song of the group's. Who remembers the really popular Love and Peace anthem of the 1960s titled Get Together? All of these years later, it's still one of my top 10 favorite songs of all time. I still listen to it all the time. I have it on my Spotify channel, and every time I hear it, it brings back so many good memories of that year, and especially of the summer of 1969. Reminds me of all the friends I had back then, all the things we did, all the places we went. There's nothing like a favorite song to instantly transport you back in time, right? The song reached number 5 on Billboard's Hot 100 Songs list in 1969. It also became an international hit and earned a gold record on Billboard's Hot 100 Songs list of the entire year of 1969. It came in at number 16. I'm really surprised. For me, it would have been my number 1 song of the year. But I guess in overall popularity, total popularity for the year, it came in at number 16, beating out for the year Suspicious Minds by Elvis, In the Ghetto by Elvis, Get Back by the Beatles, and Touch Me by the Doors. They all ranked well below Get Together in 1969. 1969 was a very memorable year for music, for pop music and rock music. But of all the great songs, Get Together, it was definitely my number 1 for the year. I love the song so much that I even visited the gravesite of the songwriter. It wasn't written by Jessie Colin Young. It was written by Dino Valenti, and 3 years ago when I was up in the San Francisco area, I visited his gravesite just because I loved the song so much and I wanted to pay my respects to the songwriter who wrote one of my all-time favorite songs. I don't think I ever shared that video on this channel. Well, I know I didn't share it on this channel, and I don't think I shared it on my other channel either, so I just did a little digging through my files and I found the footage of my visit to his gravesite, so I'll share it on this video here. Dino Valenti was his stage name. His real name was Chet Powers, and both names are on his headstone. He's buried at Mount Tamalpais Cemetery in San Rafael, California, which is just a little bit north of the Golden Gate Bridge in the San Francisco area. Another music legend buried in that cemetery is June Pointer. I visited her gravesite as well, and I did share it on my other channel, the Graveyard channel, right after my visit 3 years ago. In fact, almost 3 years ago from today. Now, I just checked, and Anita and Bonnie Pointer are also listed as being buried there in the cemetery, I guess with their sister June, but there are no photos of their gravesites and no directions to the gravesites. So I don't know if they were buried with June or cremated and their ashes are buried with June, or if they're buried somewhere else within the cemetery. But currently, Find a Grave has all 3 sisters listed as being buried there in the cemetery. So if any of you happen to know, share with us in the comments. Let us know if you visited Anita or Bonnie's gravesites as well. So June Pointer's grave is located just inside the front gate to the right. You make a right and drive a short ways, and her gravesite would be on the left-hand side. Where to visit Dino Valenti's grave, you enter through the cemetery gates and make a left-hand turn and drive all the way up the hill, and his gravesite is at the top of the hill. Sadly, Valenti died at the young age of 57. He was also a singer and songwriter, and probably best remembered for being a member of the rock band Quicksilver Messenger Service. He wrote Get Together in the mid-1960s, but it didn't become a hit until it was recorded by the Youngbloods, sung by Jessie Colin Young in 1969. And then it became not only a hit, but an anthem for the hippie movement back in the 1960s. I was only 15 years old in the summer of 1969, but the song really had an impact on me. and still moves me today. That summer of 1969, I was living in a suburb of Los Angeles, and the two pop and rock radio stations in the area were KRLA and KHJ. If you grew up here in Southern California, you'll definitely remember those two stations. I wonder if they're still around. I don't think so. I think KHJ went out of business or changed names decades ago. KRLA, I don't know. Maybe it's still around. I don't really listen to the radio much anymore. I just listen to all my favorite oldies on my Spotify channel, mostly, or MeTV Radio, which is also a fun way to listen to the songs we grew up with. But that summer, both KRLA and KHJ played Get Together. It felt like every 10 minutes of the day for the entire summer. So it was really the song, the soundtrack of that summer for me. All the other songs were played too, but Get Together was the one that really made me stop and turn up the volume every time it came on. I'm sure I'll be listening to that song until the day I die, and it will continue to remind me of one of the best years of my life. I've had a lot of really good years. I've been very fortunate, very lucky, but 1969 was especially memorable, and in many ways because of that song. So feel free to share your memories of Jessie Colin Young and the Youngbloods and the classic song Get Together in the comments section. And as always, thanks for sharing this trip down memory lane with me, and I hope to see you on the next video.